Every day is a day to wake up and look and just see, what does today have for me? And I think that journey is just a crazy journey. I think probably every one of us can relate to some of the crazy things that happen in life and some of the ways we end up in places we just never thought we'd be, or having things happen to us that we never thought would happen. And we really do get faced with that choice at that point. Do I curl up in a ball, feel sorry for myself? I think most of us self-medicate. We get, losing ourselves in work or money or friends or family or whatever. We get so absorbed in things that we think are going to ease the pain, ease us taking responsibility for ourselves. It's, I think one thing I've picked up on this journey is that it's so easy to place my responsibility on others, to place my grief, my fears, my pain on others, and to feel that, basically we're victims, right? This should never have happened to me. Well, hey, you know what? It did. So to get to that point where we sort of look at life and go, I can live with that victim mentality and let that be the core of who I am and let that influence all of my decisions. Or I can rise up and say, life was put there. The world around us was put there to bring us pain. If we're shocked at that, then really, again, we're the problem, aren't we? To think that I shouldn't deserve it. Well, why shouldn't you deserve it? We're sucking air here just like everybody else, trying to make a crazy journey less than crazy. And I think often we pad our lives with so many things that we think are going to get us through. And I think probably one of the classics to me, we all hear stories of the rich, but I remember we were staying in the Ritz-Carlton in Boston one time, and had this billionaire living on our floor, and he would I remember chatting to his wife. He was an older man, and he would walk like a zombie. He would just shuffle. He was there for medical treatment and flies, and his wife was a lot younger than him. And I remember talking to his wife about how God can touch a life, and that was the last time she ever spoke to me, because I realized that I guess she probably wasn't looking to extend her husband's life. And I start to realize it doesn't matter what you've got in life, it doesn't matter who's around you. If we start putting our life in those things and thinking they will bring us life, we're medicating. And it's a massive thing when we sort of finally realize that life is all about me taking responsibility for who I am, me realizing that the love of God is endless. And for me, I don't even know if I can communicate this effectively in words, but it's just hit me so deeply that, hey, that's flies. For those of you in America, we have massive black flies here, not like your no-see-ums, but it just hits me that really I am, Scott in and of himself is the complete opposite to God. And many times we'd wonder, well, how come God, you like white and I like black? And it's just the nature of the beast called man, right? We in and of ourselves, and if we can get honest, we are very much the opposite to God. And I've often wondered about that, and then I wondered, and I think part of it is an aspect of this, and I know I can hear some of the church folks howling about me, what I'm about to say, but I think God, he's just love. The Bible says God is love. And we talk about Jesus on a cross dying for our sin, and it becomes an industry of forgiveness and an industry of right and wrong, and I actually think that misses the very essence of what the cross of Jesus was about. I think it was about the fact that I am completely opposite to God. And there is no way the two of us can ever merge in and of Scott's attempts. I offend him, he offends me. But when Jesus died on the cross, he kind of revealed the fact that my actions are not good enough. Nothing I can do can please God. And the Bible actually says that our good works are as filthy rags in God's sight. So we do these things that we think are wonderful, and, well, it's our perspective, right? So Jesus comes along and he says, well, sin is something that man uses to hide from God, or to think he's good enough for God, the fact that he doesn't. So, I'm paraphrasing. So I think it was kind of like, let's do away with sin. We'll put Jesus on the cross. He'll take responsibility for all the wrong things, all the right things, all the man's actions. And in taking responsibility for that, man no longer can hide in his good or hide in his bad. I can hide in my good by saying, I'm a good person, I don't deserve this, yet here I am. Or I can be a bad person and think I do deserve that, but I can't come to God. How many times have I heard people say, if I come into church, the roof will fall down? Well, that's the point. Jesus died on the cross to say all of your actions from your perspective, whether you think it's good, you think it's bad, you think it's amazing, you think it's terrible, it's irrelevant, because in and of yourself, it's all odious to God. And so God comes along and says, I'm giving you a lesson in my love. It's unconditional. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it matters because it could hurt us or whatever, but he looks and says, that's not where my love is based. My love is based in the fact that I unconditionally delight in you. And I think when it arrives in our life, and we grasp the fact, I don't know if our brain can, but our spirit enters the fact that God unconditionally loves me. Doesn't matter if I'm bad, doesn't matter if I'm good, doesn't matter if I want to be near him or I don't. It doesn't influence that love that much. And he comes along and says, so Jesus is going to die on the cross. He's going to get rid of all of your need to think that what you are is good or bad, all your religious actions, all your man actions, and all he's going to reveal is the fact, I love you. And Jesus said, no man can come to the Father but through him. So that intimacy of God, where now I say, God, okay, I see you love me. I don't grasp it, but wow, I'm complete opposite to you, but you love me? Then he comes along, and what do we do with that? It's like romance. And then we come along and we say, hey, God, I'm going to respond. I don't really know how. I feel really inadequate. I feel like I'm not worthy. I don't even feel I can give you that sort of love back. But, all right, here I am. And that marriage with Jesus is the most beautiful thing. And I actually have just had such a meeting in my life with that, where all of a sudden that's what I call now my be, my identity, my spiritual completeness. It's Scott. Out of that, I can do things. Things will flow. Love will flow. I remember just recently trying to reach out to someone with that same sort of unconditional love of no matter what you've done, no matter what you're doing, love is. And of course, like we all do, they look and say, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, this is no, I don't feel adequate. I don't know. I've not had the chance to really sit and ask what goes on in somebody's heart and mind, but I can imagine if I was in their position, what my heart and mind would have been doing. But there's that God movement that just says, I delight in you. Even when you don't want to be near me, even when you don't want to whisper my name, even when you try to pretend I'm not there, I delight in you. That is a depth of love that just recently, that has arrived in my life in a way that is just amazing. All my life I've been trapped in the doing. Am I good enough? I'm not good enough. You offend me, you don't offend me. And to me, it's just an amazing experience to be able to then look and say, God, you love me. And I just kind of wanted to encourage today on that love. Oh, we've got some folks walking through. Just want to encourage you today on that love angle, that you're not good enough for love. You never will be. If we're stuck on the do level, I'm doing, trying to be good enough, you'll never get there. It's endless religion, you know, and really some of the best people, but the most non-intimate people are stuck in that world, hiding in all sorts of do actions. Look how good I am. Look at what I've done. Look at what I'm doing. You think I'm good now, right? And really that's a insecurity in themselves. But to come along and to get to that point where you can rest back in life and say, you know what? This thing called life, I just don't get it. I've messed it up. I got to, in my case, 53 years old, and it's not gone anywhere near like I thought it would. And you start to say, okay, God, you got my attention. Have your way. And in that act of surrender, your spiritual identity arrives, where now you are, I am, and it's not based in what you do. I am love because He is love, and He loves me. That is what it seems as every relationship around my life is blossoming in that level, where people have looked and gone, Scott, you are this, you're to that, you're intense, you're, you know, strong, you're not strong, you're, I don't know, it's really all irrelevant to me, to be honest. And I was just saying to someone today, you know, there was a person that I haven't seen for over 20 years that's come back into my life in I think what's going to become a great friendship, and well, it is. And I for some reason, I don't even really know what that friendship was affected years ago. And I just was saying to someone today, I said, I actually don't mind. I'm free of that. Whatever actions happened or didn't happen, it's not that person's heart. I just love them. I'm not in love with them, but I love them. And that thing it's just so freeing that, and I grasp a tiny bit of it, that, you know, Jesus went to the cross. They put a crown of thorns on Him. They whipped Him. They beat Him. It never influenced what He thought of them. His last words were, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Isn't that incredible? You've been whipped, you've been beaten, you've been spat on, you've been abused. I mean, these people one day, as He came into Jerusalem, laid down palm leaves and said, you know, we're praising Him and so excited for Him. The next day, they're whipping Him, they're beating Him, their crown of thorns are on Him, they're, you know, mocking Him. And if He was on that level of looking for the accolades, acceptance of man, He could never have done it. But what a man, what a picture of manhood, that He's able to lay aside all of His natural feelings and say, God, forgive them. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And reality is they didn't. But He was taking all of their actions and saying, they're all forgiven now on the cross. I'll take all their actions on me. Now they've got no excuse. All they need to do is feel my unconditional love. And today, I don't know, even as I'm saying this, there's someone here that unconditional love of God is just sort of wants to reach to you right where it is. It just feels like a special moment. Where somebody's, I guess it's been all of us, but there's somebody listening, and you've strived so hard and been so misunderstood by life, by everybody around you. And it seems so unfair, but it's isolated you. And as you've isolated, it's caused pain. And pain causes us to pull away, doesn't it? So we isolate more. And then pain brings control. So we start to control. When we control, people don't want to be near control. It drives people away. So It's a cycle. I'm hurting, I have pain, so I'm going to control to get rid of the pain. As I control, it brings a lack of intimacy. So now I feel alone and I'm in pain again emotionally, so I'm going to control more to make sure that, you know, I can get more intimacy. But intimacy doesn't come via control, it comes via surrender. And in your relationship, surrender. In your life, surrender. You are good enough. You're beautiful. But there's nothing you can do to be that. It's entering the spirit of it and saying, God, I feel yuck, I look yuck, people might think I'm yuck, but you love me. And I tell you, the Bible says like attracts like, paraphrasing. So basically what you are will attract. Birds of a feather flock together. So if you're full of self-anger, self-hate, you will attract that. But if you're full of freedom and you're full of life and you're full of love, it will pull in the love and the free. So whoever that is, just stop trying. Just let go. Let go and just say, you know what? I don't get this thing called life. The older I'm getting, the less I'm realizing I understand this. I just want a journey. I want to sit and look at trees. I want to walk out in the bush with somebody and just enjoy life. And, you know, King David in the Bible, he had a friend, Jonathan, and he says to Jonathan, your love is sweeter to me than that of a woman. Now, he's not meaning sexually. He's meaning that Jonathan had that bond with David where they were able to just be one in life. Let go. Pain came. I want to talk about that, just going to touch on that. I was in so much pain through some things that this last couple of years that were there in my life, and every day the pain, it was unbearable. And I knew from helping so many others, I didn't want to medicate. I'm like, God, I don't want to turn to things that are not healthy. I don't want to take control of my pain, because like I said, pain brings control, control brings lack of intimacy. I want to be able to love again. And excuse me, as I would just roll with that and say, God, why the pain? Why the pain? How do I get rid of this pain? It's just gnawing in me. And one day it was like this light came on where God said, Scott, I feel you. I know that that pain is hard. He said, but I want you to understand something about pain. And this is, again, when I say God spoke, it's not audible words. It's a movement in me that I'm putting the words on for our benefit here today. It was like he said, Scott, pain keeps you soft. He said, without pain, you will harden. And if you harden, you become a machine. You will not feel when people hurt you. You won't feel when people do things that are good or bad to you. You won't really feel it. You'll be aware of it, but it's a learned awareness. It won't be an emotional feeling. And there was some things I did recently with someone that I reached out to, and it just brought feeling back to me, which I didn't even realize I'd lost. Beautiful. The whole thing from beginning to end. And I realized that God was saying, Scott, I'll take the pain when it's time. Just keep surrendering it. So what did I do? As pain would come, firstly, I would make sure I forgave. God, I forgive them, forgive that, forgive this, forgive everything that came to me. As quick as it came, flush it out with forgiveness. And one of the things that was the hardest in that is when it comes to forgive yourself. And I was like, for what? Well, you failed. You just weren't able to show love in the way that you wanted to. You were misunderstood. You were whatever it was. And to forgive yourself is probably one of the hardest things. That took me days to get to that point of just being able to say, even though there's no specific action, it's just that self-condemnation, saying, I just wasn't good enough. And then out of that forgiveness, now there's just pain. It's still there. And not now, but the pain, it was there. I remember one day I was just going to meet someone really special, just a beautiful individual in their spirit and in their heart. And as I drove there, I just saw this root, and it was like it just burnt. And then when I met and I was leaving that root, I saw it again, like in a picture in front of my eyes. It was burned up and gone. And it was the root of pain. And from that day, the pain left. God took it. Pain is there to keep you soft. If you're in a lot of pain emotionally and mentally and spiritually, it's because you're hiding. You're not addressing the things that God wants to get to in the core of who you are. And one of those big things is God saying, I want to touch who you are. I want to sit with you. I want to sit on a bench on a mountaintop. I put a ladder once up a mountain for someone and just said, go up there and get that thing. And that was 6 months ago. And I looked, it's still sitting there. And it's like, I looked just last week and haven't been up there in months. And it's like, all that letter said was from God. Hey, would you just come sit with me? Come and look at this sunset with me, signed God, you know. And I was like, that is what we miss. The ability to sit and say, I don't need anybody. I don't need anything. I need to sit with God. And God, can we just address life? I'm done with running. I'm done with hiding in things. I'm done with hiding in me. I need to address the roots of that pain so the pain can go. It's a beautiful thing when pain washes out of your life. The freedom that came is just like, wow. And that's on the back of that, as people now do things to me which I could take the wrong way, it just becomes, wow, it doesn't have a root in me. I feel free of it, and it doesn't affect how I view them, how I love them, how I feel about them. It's changed my life. And today, it's an invitation to let it change yours. A lesson in love that we can't learn with our head. We have to let go and enter it with our heart. Let life play its music. Be free. Be free. Love and be loved. Love and be loved. But that can only happen when we're spiritually aware of that love of God and who it is in us. Crazy, huh? So natural people. I'm just, you know, I got to finish. I'll say that, but I always say more. One of the things that blew me away about this is, in the past, in a relationship, any kind, I'm not just talking female, but any relationship, as people do things, we define them. I don't want to be near you because of that. Your life is messed up. If it was good enough, if all these things were in order and you owned this and you did that and you had this and you were here, I would be able to have you in my life. And I've actually, it's a beautiful thing is it's like God's kept some of that hidden, because it then brings relationship with people that want the heart. And all that other stuff is just easy. And it becomes, and what changed in me now is, as I look at a relationship with people, is I love the differences. I celebrate those differences. I celebrate the challenges. I celebrate the failures of me and others, because one day I'll be a safe place for someone and they'll be a safe place for me. Well, I'll be a safe place for them, because it becomes saying, you are completely imperfect and I'm not an idiot. I see that. But I just have an unconditional love for you. And I think the journey of life now, as those things come up and we come together in that unconditional love, in an unconditional love, we sit on a bench and we just talk and life is just happening and there's a sunset and it's just beautiful and the hearts are resonating. All of a sudden, that thing that seemed like such an issue is a nothing. Man, I'm looking forward to that. It's actually happening already with just some of the relationships around my life, and it's beautiful because I feel safe. Because I mess up. I say things. I'm a pretty in-your-face individual at times. So I say, you know, will you stand with me? Because I'll say it, right? And there's people that hear that and go, ooh, that was kind of hard. And then they're like, Scott, somebody said to me recently, you know what we like about you, Scott? You're pretty direct, but we feel safe with you because we know where we stand. And I was like, wow, that's more of that unconditional love that just blew me away. I love that. I love the opportunity to be with failed people, because unconditional love shines. And really, the natural stuff, who cares? I mean, we care because there's pain there, but as we just surrender that, I've talked about that. What a beautiful opportunity to have, like God and Scott, two complete opposites come together in unconditional love and see the beauty of creation. Think about that in a relationship. Two completely opposite people, instead of banging heads together, they're in that spiritual identity of they've emptied, they're comfortable in who they are, and they're saying, you're not a threat to me. I celebrate the differences because they bring us together. When we flow in unconditional love, beautiful music is made. But that music is not natural. That music is a beautiful symphony of unconditional love. I love you.